Jetpack, rocket belt, rocket pack and similar names are used for various types of devices, usually worn on the back, that are propelled by jets of escaping gases to let a single user propel him or herself into the air or fly. The concept emerged from science fiction in the 1960s and became popular as the technology became a reality. The most common use of the jetpack has been in extravehicular activities for astronauts. Despite decades of advancement in the technology, many obstacles remain in the way of use of the jetpack in the military or as a means of personal transport, including the challenges of Earth's atmosphere, Earth gravity, low energy density of available fuels, and the human body not being naturally adapted to fly. To compensate for the limitations of the human body, the jetpack must accommodate for all factors of flight such as lift and stabilization. Liquid-fueled rocket pack. Andrave, oxygen and methane, with wings. The first jetpack was developed in 1919 by the Russian inventor Alexander Fyodorovich Andreev. The project was well regarded by Nikolai Reiner and technology historians U.V. Buryukov and S.V. Golochuk. Later it was issued a patent but apparently was not built or tested. It was oxygen and methane powered with wings each roughly 1 meter long. Hydrogen peroxide powered rocket packs. A hydrogen peroxide powered motor is based on the decomposition reaction of hydrogen peroxide. Nearly pure hydrogen peroxide is used. Pure hydrogen peroxide is relatively stable, but in contact with a catalyst it decomposes into a mixture of superheated steam and oxygen in less than 1/10 millisecond, increasing in volume 5,000 times. 2H2O2 2H2O plus O2. The reaction is exothermic, i.e., accompanied by the liberation of much heat, forming in this case a steam-gas mixture at 740 degrees Celsius, 1360 degrees Fahrenheit. This hot gas is used exclusively as the reaction mass and is fed directly to one or more jet nozzles. The great disadvantage is the limited operating time. The jet of steam and oxygen can provide significant thrust from fairly lightweight rockets, but the jet has a relatively low exhaust velocity and hence a poor specific impulse. Currently, such rocket belts can only fly for about 30 seconds. A more conventional bipropellant could more than double the specific impulse. However, although the exhaust gases from the peroxide-based motor are very hot, they are still significantly cooler than those generated by alternative propellants. Using a peroxide-based propellant greatly reduces the risk of a fire explosion which would cause severe injury to the operator. In contrast to, for example, turbojet engines which mainly expel atmospheric air to produce thrust, rocket packs are far simpler to build than devices using turbojets. The classical rocket pack construction of Wendell Moore can be made under workshop conditions. Given good engineering training and a high level of tool-making craftsmanship, the main disadvantages of this type of rocket pack are short duration of flight, the high expense of the peroxide propellant, the inherent dangers of flying below minimum parachute altitude, and hence without any safety equipment to protect the operator if there is an accident or malfunction. Safely learning how to fly it, given that there are no dual-control training versions. The sheer difficulty of manually flying such a device. These circumstances limit the sphere of the application of rocket packs to very spectacular public demonstration flights, i.e., stunts. For example, a flight was arranged in the course of the opening ceremony of the Summer Olympic Games 1984 in Los Angeles, USA. Justin Capra's flying backpack. Justin Capra claimed that he invented a flying rucksack in 1956 in Romania, and informed the American embassy of his idea. A device he designed in the mid-1960s, is similar to earlier models created at Bell Laboratories. The 1956 model is at a museum in Ploiesti. Jump belt in 1958, Gary Burdett and Alexander Bohr, Thiokol Corporation engineers, created a jump belt which they named Project Grasshopper. Thrust was created by high-pressure compressed nitrogen. Two small nozzles were affixed to the belt and directed vertically downward. The wearer of the belt could open a valve, letting out nitrogen from the gas cylinder through the nozzles, which tossed him upward to a height of 7 meters. After leaning forward, it was possible with the aid of the jump belt's thrust to run at 45 to 50 km per hour. Later, Attribution tested a hydrogen peroxide-powered version. The jump belt was demonstrated by a serviceman in action, but as no financing was forthcoming, there was no further testing. Aeropack in 1959, Aerojet General Corporation won a U.S. Army contract to devise a jetpack or rocket pack. At the start of 1960, Richard Peoples made his first tethered flight with his Aeropack. In 1960, the Bell rocket belt was presented to the public. The jet of gas was provided by a hydrogen peroxide-powered rocket, but the jet could also be provided by a turbojet engine, a ducted fan, or other kinds of rockets powered by solid fuel, liquid fuel or compressed gas. U.S. Army interest. The U.S. military did not lose interest in this type of flight vehicle. Transport studies of the U.S. Army Transportation Research Command determined that personal jet devices could have diverse uses. For reconnaissance, crossing rivers, amphibious landing, accessing steep mountain slopes, overcoming minefields, tactical maneuvering, etc. The concept was named Small Rocket Lift Device, SRLD. Within the framework of this concept, the administration concluded a big contract with the Aerojet General Company in 1959 to research the possibility of designing an SRLD suitable for Army purposes. Aerojet came to the conclusion that the version with the engine running on hydrogen peroxide was most suitable. However, it soon became known to the military that engineer Wendell Moore of the Bell Aerosystems Company had for several years been carrying out experiments to make a personal jet device. After becoming acquainted with his work, servicemen during August 1960 decided to commission Bell Aerosystems with developing an SRLD. Wendell Moore was appointed chief project engineer. Belt Textron rocket belt. This is the oldest known type of jetpack or rocket pack. One Bell rocket belt is on display at the Smithsonian Institution's National Air and Space Museum Annex, the Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center, located near Dulles Airport. RB-2000 rocket belts. This was a successor to the Bell rocket belt. See Bell rocket belt #RB-2000 rocket belt. Bell Pogo. The Bell Pogo was a small rocket-powered platform that two people could ride on. Its design used features from the Bell rocket belt. Powerhouse Productions rocket belt, more commonly known as the Rocketman. Powerhouse Productions, owned and operated by Kinney Gibson, is the first company to manufacture the 30-second flying rocket belt and to exclusively organize rocket belt performances. Since 1983, Powerhouse Productions has performed show flights in over 40 countries such as the Carnival in Rio de Janeiro, Super Bowls, the Rose Parade, Daytona 500, and the Michael Jackson Dangerous World Tour, as well as many television shows including Walker, Texas Ranger, The Fall Guy and NCIS. Powerhouse rocket belt pilots include stuntman Kinney Gibson and Dan Schlund. Tecnología Aeroespacial Mexicana. The Tech Aeromex rocket belt is made by Tecnología Aeroespacial Mexicana. This is said to be the only company in the world offering a flying and tested rocket belt package. It was featured in the March 2006 issue of Popular Science magazine and many TV programs around the world like the Discovery Channel, the BBC, ProSieben TV Azteca, the Science Channel, and the History Channel. Its maker claims that 4 of his rocket packs are flying now. His first tethered flights were on the 22nd of September 2005. On August 11, 2006, the inventor's daughter, Isabel Lozano, was the first woman in the world to fly tethered in a rocket belt in front of millions of TV spectators. She flew with a special rocket belt built by by Tecnología Aeroespacial Mexicana. It runs on hydrogen peroxide and sells for USA $125,000 including a training course. TAM has also developed a concept for a backpack helicopter called fly.The, with a two-bladed rotor driven by a small rocket motor at the end of each rotor blade. They use hydro jetpacks when training pilots to use their jetpacks. This jetpack manufacturer is still active as at December 2014. Christian Stadler, 2007. With a wingsuit, Christian Stadler from Germany organized the first international wingsuit competition to feature a monetary prize, in 2005, called Sky Jester's Wings Over Mall. His Vega 3 wingsuit system uses an electronically adjustable hydrogen peroxide rocket made by Tecnología Aeroespacial Mexicana. The rocket provides 1,000 newtons of thrust, and produces no flames or poisonous fumes. His first successful powered wingsuit jump was in 2007, when he reached horizontal speeds of over 255 km per hour. Jetpack International made three types of wingless jetpacks. A jetpack H-202 was flown for 34 seconds in Central Park on the 9th of April 2007 episode of The Today Show and sold for $150,000. As of January 2009, their H-202 jetpacks are for demonstration only, not for sale. Details of the likely consumer model, Falcon, were scheduled for an official announcement on May 1, 2012. But the company is currently behind schedule. Current technology. According to the U.S. government, real jetpacks have little practical value due to the limitations of current technology. The United States Armed Forces, which conducted most jetpack research, has declared that helicopters are far more practical. Many others have worked on devising a functional jetpack, but with limited success. At the TechCrunch Disrupt conference in 2014, Astro Teller, head of Google X, said they investigated jetpacks but found them too inefficient to be practical, with fuel consumption as high as 940 L, 100 kilometers, and were as loud as a motorcycle, so they decided not to pursue developing them. In recent years, the rocket pack has become popular among enthusiasts, and some have built them for themselves. The pack's basic construction is rather simple, but its flying capability depends on two key parts: the gas generator, and the thrust control valve. The rocket packs being built today are largely based on the research and inventions of Wendell Moore at Bell Helicopter. One of the largest stumbling blocks that would-be rocket pack builders have faced is the difficulty of obtaining concentrated hydrogen peroxide, which is no longer produced by many chemical companies. The few companies that produce high-concentration hydrogen peroxide only sell to large corporations or governments, forcing some amateurs and professionals to set up to their own hydrogen peroxide distillation installations. High-concentration hydrogen peroxide for rocket belts was produced by Peroxide Propulsion from 2004 to 2010. But after a serious accident, Peroxide Propulsion stopped making it.